What does it take to turn a man into a cold-blooded killer? In Cape Coral, Florida, this haunting question found an answer when Wade Wilson, a man whose name mirrors the fictional anti-hero Deadpool, left a trail of terror. This isn't a story about a hero or even a villain you could sympathize with. It's a tale of unthinkable violence, shattered lives, and the relentless pursuit of justice. How did a city known for its peaceful canals become the backdrop of such horror? What drove Wade Wilson to target two innocent women in a spree that shook the nation? And what revelations could emerge from a case that refuses to fade into the shadows? In this installment of Chasing Cases, we unravel the chilling events that led to Wade Wilson's downfall and explore the unanswered questions that still linger. Before we get into it, give us a like, and we'd appreciate if you tap that bell to subscribe. Now, let's dive in. Cape Coral is a serene city, famous for its waterways and family-friendly vibe. But in October 2019, the peace was shattered in the most brutal way imaginable. The events began on October 7th. It was supposed to be just another fall day in Florida, but for Kristine Melton, it would be her last. Kristine Melton, 35 years old, was a mother of two who lived for her kids. She was known for her warm smile and a heart that welcomed everyone. But on that fateful day, everything changed. Melton was found in her home, strangled to death. There was no sign of forced entry, leading investigators to believe she knew her killer. Apparently, Melton and Wilson had met at a bar, after which they spent a few hours at the home of Jason Shepard. After which, Melton and Wilson went to Melton's home, where he strangled Melton to death in her sleep and then stole her car. According to the neighbors, she was a sweet person. When they heard what happened, they couldn't believe it and were left wondering who would do such a thing to this poor woman with so much life left to live. Just hours after Kristine Melton's body was discovered, another tragedy struck. Diane Ruiz, a 43-year-old who worked as a server, was reported missing by her family. Diane was a mother of two, engaged to be married. She was described as hardworking and caring. She worked as a bartender at the Moose Lodge in Cape Coral and never missed a shift in the 5 years she'd been employed there. For days, law enforcement and volunteers scoured the area. The community held its breath, hoping for a miracle that she would be found. But on October 11th, Diane's body was found in a wooded area. Like Kristine, she had been strangled and subsequently run over multiple times after she was lured into Kristine Melton's car under false pretenses. Police quickly zeroed in on a suspect, 25-year-old Wade Stephen Wilson. What made this case even more bizarre was his name. Sharing it with the fictional anti-hero Deadpool might have been a coincidence, but his actions were anything but playful. Wade Stephen Wilson was born on May 20th, 1994 to teenage parents. He was adopted by Steve and Candace Wilson and raised in Tallahassee, Florida, where he attended Chiles High School. During his youth, Wilson was often described as troubled and was reportedly involved in minor criminal activities and substance abuse. He also sustained several head injuries during his childhood and adolescence, which he later cited as contributing to his feelings of instability. Wilson was no stranger to the law. As an adult, he had a history of violent behavior and drug abuse, burglary, grand theft, and even firearm offenses dating back to 2012. In November 2013, he was apprehended and sentenced for grand theft and burglary, serving until September 2014. He faced charges of sexual battery and kidnapping in 2015, after he was accused of having assaulted a woman in his vehicle after a party. However, he was acquitted of those charges. It seemed like a good time for a wake-up call and change his ways. But by 2017, Wilson was incarcerated again for stealing firearms, serving time until July 2018. Later that year, he was mentioned in connection with the case of Denise Williams, who was convicted of conspiring to murder her husband. During this time, Wilson allegedly attempted to fabricate evidence and offered to kill Williams. In February 2019, his former girlfriend reported an incident in which he allegedly assaulted and strangled her. Although she initially accused him of kidnapping and sexual assault, investigators did not pursue these charges due to a lack of evidence and an existing no-contact order. But on July 1st, 2019, Wilson was arrested again for battery. Then, what investigators uncovered about his relationship with the victims left them stunned. After interviewing witnesses, police learned that Wilson had been seen with both Melton and Ruiz shortly before their deaths. Wilson called his biological father, Stephen Testaseca, soon afterwards and confessed to murdering the women. His father and stepmother made the chilling call to authorities, revealing that Wilson had confessed to the crimes. Testaseca told the detectives that Wade made mention that he would be willing to do it again. The police acted quickly to apprehend the suspect. Thanks to community cooperation, officials were able to prevent further harm. During his arrest, Wilson displayed no remorse. Investigators described him as calm, almost detached. Experts later speculated that Wilson's troubled childhood and drug dependency may have played a role in his violent behavior. But could those factors ever justify his actions? Wade Wilson fits the profile of a classic predator. His actions were deliberate, calculated, and devoid of empathy. A neurologist testified that brain scans showed trauma and impairment, which might explain some of Wilson's impulsive behaviors. Wade Wilson's trial began in 2024. The prosecution presented a strong case, including Wilson's confessions and DNA evidence, linking him to both crime scenes. Despite his defense team's attempts to argue mental instability, the defense claimed that Wilson's drug abuse could have impaired his judgment at the time of the crime. However, the jury found Wilson guilty of both murders. More than the required 8 out of the 12 jurors recommended the death penalty for Wilson. 9 jurors called for the death penalty for the murder of Melton, and 10 jurors for the murder of Ruiz. Wilson's father, Stephen Testaseca, testified against him in court, recounting details of his confession over the phone. Testaseca stated that his son ran over Ruiz after realizing she was not yet dead and could also not explain his motives beyond saying, "I just wanted to do it." In August 2024, Wilson was sentenced to death. The judge described his crimes as heinous, atrocious, and cruel. Wilson's sentencing was marked by public interest and controversy, including numerous messages from individuals pleading for clemency. His case raised questions about the intersection of mental health, criminal behavior, and the justice system. Public reactions were mixed, with some expressing sympathy due to his mental health issues, while others focused on the brutality of his crimes. But even after his conviction, the story wasn't over. In September 2024, Wilson's attorney filed an appeal, citing procedural errors during the original trial. The appeal process has left many wondering, will the victims' families ever see true justice? Cape Coral is still healing. For the families of Kristine Melton and Diane Ruiz, life will never be the same. But their memories live on through their loved ones and a community determined to honor their legacies. In their honor, Cape Coral has come together to raise awareness about domestic violence and support services for those in need. Wade Wilson's name may remind people of a fictional antihero, but his actions were nothing short of monstrous. His appeals wind through the legal system. The families of his victims continue to fight for justice. What do you think drives someone to commit such unspeakable acts? And can justice ever truly bring closure to those left behind? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Another case unraveled, but many more to come. There are hundreds of stories out there like these, and they're always worth the chase. So make sure you're subscribed and ready for the next one by hitting that bell. From all of us at Chasing Cases, stay vigilant, stay curious, and keep chasing cases.